it's art. It's
Yeah.
fantasy. It's not a real car. You can do anything.
Right.
You have the license to do that. Like, our criticisms to that guy were just like, hey, like, this suspension setup is physically impossible.
Yeah.
Like, your art just can't do that. You're trying to emulate a Kaido racer. I think it's reasonable to say, like, hey, that's not really, doesn't look like a Kaido racer livery-wise, or like, but at the end of the day, it is like fiction. It's fantasy. You can do anything.
Yeah. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Substance Podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and Liam is not here today because we have my friend Verone. He has a real name, but I'm going to call him Verone this whole time. This is going to be, as you know, if you keep up with the podcast, this is going to be my first guest that only I've had. So this is going to be an interesting experience for us both, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to let him tell you who he is, a little about himself, and then we're just gonna have a conversation because what he does the render art stuff that I'm just constantly talking about, and he's somebody that I really respect, and I'm just gonna like make him really uncomfortable after it. He's somebody that I really respect and admire. This is so weird doing this like without Liam. I'm used to him like saying all the power statements
Just
and
pretend
shit. You have to do an accent.
Do the accent?
Yeah.
So actually, I was actually locked up in the Queen of England's basement for quite a while, and she fed me scraps from the Pret down the street.
My favorite word that he says is because. How the fuck does he say it? Because. It's I don't know. It's anyway. Yes. So, Verone. Give him just a little tiny rundown about who you are.
Yeah, I'm Verone. I am a.
And also, you can tell him your real name.
I don't care.
Okay, let's continue.
It's whatever.
Continue.
Okay, so I'm a render artist, 3D artist. That's it.
So he is a very active member in the Discord that I have mentioned, run by Sad Machines that I've mentioned in the past. And Verone, remind me, how old are you?
I am 17.
So what were you guys doing at age 17? Probably not what he's doing. So I guess, granted, we did talk about this the other day. But
yeah.
We already knew this was going to happen. So where did you get into rendering? Like, where did that come from?
So I'd messed around with like architectural rendering software when I was like 10 or something, not even 10, like really like a little kid, like, it was just like whatever, like it was on my dad's laptop.
Yeah.
And then kind of out of the blue, one day I was like, I got this vision in my head, like I should make a yellow Celica, like a sort of degraded PlayStation 2 kind of quality. And the image will say typhoon or tsunami on it for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's typhoon.
It just came to you in the night.
Yeah, and so it kind of got me to like, I've heard about this thing Blender. Maybe I should try and use it. And I did, and it was like, I just followed a couple tutorials, and then I ended up with like a Celica.
YouTube, I take it?
Yeah,
tutorials
YouTube. Yeah. And I never ended up doing the thing with the yellow car and the typhoon text. It just didn't happen. But I did make the Celica.
Lost on your way up.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, and that, you said, what age was that?
When I was like 15.
That, dude, honestly, that's the thing that just like messes with my head the most, is that you're doing all of this at like 17, because I think, for
does it mess with a mic stand when I like put down the
just a little bit,
okay.
Just like put it down like real gentle.
Okay.
But no, it's like, dude, doing the stuff that you're doing at 17, like, it's fucking great. Like that doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? I feel like that's not a super common thing, and I'll say something so you guys can hear that I said at the Machine Auto Salon, which we are going to talk about. I think a lot of these guys that are in the Discord, that is kind of where all of this, it's kind of like the network of these guys that I think a lot of creativity and inspiration comes from, them just collabing with each other, talking about ideas. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff going on in there all the time, and then there's a lot of shit posting, but it's just like they when you bring them outside of the context of that Discord, in my experience so far, a lot of these guys don't even really realize like how good what they're making is because they're so used to, seeing each other's work and challenging each other and, collaborating with each other. So, that's another thing that I guess I could phrase that as a question. Like, do you guys even really give a shit about what people outside of like the group think about what you're making?
Um, so there's an like, well, no, like we do it for ourselves,
Yeah.
and we do it. But then there's also an element of like we believe that we're doing it to this really high standard, and it's higher than a lot of other render artists just out there.
Which I would argue that is true. But
And also, you said there's not a lot of people doing this at this age. Like, there are, I think, a good portion of all the new members that join the Discord and like are barely literate and like, no, I'm playing. They're like my age and they're like really beginner artists. And there's a lot of now, I think, after the proliferation of all this stuff, there's a lot of kids like downloading Blender and just seeing what they can do. So we see a lot of that in the Discord.
Well, I guess more what I was thinking when I said that is kind of like creating the quality of work that you are.
I see that.
But I mean, that's to me, that's super fucking cool that you have so many, kids that are coming in. Give me 1 second. Wow.
Yeah,
that's probably not a great idea.
I forgot about that thing. Just right after you said it, I'll just.
No worries, dude. You guys will be okay. But no, like it's super cool that you have so many, kids that are younger, like coming into it because I feel like that can only mean that there's going to be more. I don't want to keep calling them kids, but I mean, at my age, you guys
like
are
younger
artists. At my age, I'm fucking old am I? Jesus Christ. That's the joke in the Discord is that I'm like the boomer because I don't fucking know how anything works. Like, I've never been able to live down. It was probably like the first or second time that I was in the voice chat, and I was like, all right, guys, I gotta go like do something, and it literally took me probably like a full minute to like figure out how to hang up and
disconnect
leave.
button. Yeah,
yeah. they were all just like, he can't find the fucking hang up button.
It's still funny.
So, what? Oh, I got off track. So as far as like the younger kids coming into it, I think that's really cool, and I think that presents like a possibility for more people to like be approaching the level of quality that you're at your age.
Right.
And so it's like, for me, that's just so fucking cool to think that, by the time you're my age, like that's almost 10 years from me, Jesus Christ. But by the time you're like my age or Garrett's age, like what you're going to be making, because dude, like what you're already making is fucking insane.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I guess what was the first project that you did that you were like really excited about when you were done? Or even while you were doing it. I guess not even necessarily when you were done.
A lot of them I just start to hate halfway through. And it's weird because a lot of people, they sort of don't push through with it and they let the hate kind of take it over and then they're kind of disillusioned with it halfway through and they don't finish anything. So for me, there's quite a few projects. Like, I don't like any of my stuff before like last year.
Really?
Because it's like, it just feels kind of half-baked and like I wasn't good enough, like I wasn't practiced enough with it. But I had to have made those to get to this point.
Right.
So it's,
right.
Yeah. It was definitely exciting to do maybe the Insomnia Civic.
That's the one with the G35.
That was one of the G35
right?
tails.
Dude, yes. Everything about that for me was so good. It was so good. And like the coolest part was the day that I saw it, like the photo work that you guys did for the actual car. To this day, I'm still geeking out on that. Like it fucking nailed that like Spocom Need for Speed era. Like even I guess I would venture to say like import tuner magazine
Right.
kind of aesthetic, and it's just like I only saw the front end first, and so I was just really taken with like how you guys had presented it. But then when I saw the rear, I was like, no fucking way.
So I'm glad you brought that up because the aesthetic of it, because that car is like 50-50, barely 50-50. I did all the 3D modeling, but I would be completely directionless if not for my friend Boki, who is acting as art director, and he did the graphics on the car. But he's like a walking
He
encyclopedia
literally is, man.
for all the Spocom stuff.
It was so
and
funny because I noticed that really quickly after I started talking with him. Because I actually talked to him like, well, I guess I talked to him first on voice chat. Honestly, don't remember because we speak a lot just like in DMs on Instagram,
Right.
just like here and there about stuff. But I guess the first time I like interacted with him was in voice chat, but it wasn't until I kind of started keeping up with what he was doing on Instagram and just like seeing him in comment sections and stuff. I'm like, this fucking dude knows like everything there is to know about this stuff. It's
Right.
crazy.
And he's from Germany.
He is, isn't he?
He is.
Holy shit.
Right.
That's
and he's like what, 20, 21? Like,
oh my god.
that's the last person you would expect.
Well, that's one thing I want to bring up. I'll have to talk to our technical director Liam because I really would for the viewers on YouTube. I really would like to have photos. You can have some context, but it's just like, dude, and me and Liam have talked about this before. Like, you just said that he was kind of like the art director on that, but he is not. He's like he's not the exception. Like you guys all, from what I've seen, you guys all have a really, really solid grasp on, I mean, obviously not only building cars and being attentive to detail, but things like photography and graphic design and doing things in a period correct way, whether it's what is on the car, the aesthetic around it. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's crazy. And I guess my question for you would be, do you feel like just kind of how you function, do you think that would have happened naturally, or do you think that's definitely like a big byproduct of the Discord?
So before I joined the Discord, I was like, okay, so I was 15, first of all. Secondly, I was like, paint the skyline solid blue and put it on TEs kind of person.
Yeah.
I had no idea about anything. And so I'm like, if I didn't join that, I would not be anywhere near where I am today in terms of like knowledge, even technical skill with the renders, like all of it.
Yeah.
And not to mention the people I've met. Right. So
yeah.
It's huge part of it.
Yeah. Well, and I was kind of talking to Garrett about this the other day, just because I have no pre-tech, considering I've only been, really active in the Discord for X amount of time. But like a lot of the guys that I, that are usually in voice chat when I'm in there, would you say that there is kind of like a market core group within the Discord, or is it really just like a bunch of different?
No, it just comes down to like the people that are active and the people that care about it, and then that's a group that you can pick out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's just the people that care, they're active, and then that forms a group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the thing, it's so fun. Like, I don't even know how to like plug the Discord. Like, I don't even know if it's like I don't even fucking know. But I'll get him to explain it at some point before we finish this up. But like that Discord to me, even though I'm like just really illiterate with it at this moment in time, it's unbelievable because just every single day, just kind of like peeking through the servers, there's just so much stuff. Like there's so much cool source and reference material that people are just dropping off there. And I just think that's so cool, and it's something that again that I mentioned during MAS. I'm in my experience when you do something creative, I think your output and the quality of work that you're creating, especially if you're kind of clearly trying to be influenced by something, the more frequently that you're intaking that media and like that aesthetic, what have you, I think the quality and I don't I don't want to say God, authenticity, but
Yes.
at the same time I kind
No,
of
yeah,
do,
authenticity.
because it's just like, and I don't even think it's a conscious thing. Honestly, I think that when you, at least in the case of the Discord, if you're going in there every day and staying for however long, talking to everybody this and that, and you're seeing like this constant stream of like obscure cars, mag scans, like all of this stuff, it's gonna leak into your brain.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like, I think that's what's so cool to me about like the creative environment that you guys have. And again, I think that's one of the reasons, just because it is like, I don't want to say it's a closed environment, but it's closed in that, like you said, like the core group are just the people that show up to work every day.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like, I just think that for that reason, you guys all get kind of like, this sounds super like, oh, but it's like you guys all get beautifully distilled because
Yes.
you're only, you're in, I guess technically it could be an echo chamber, but that has like a really negative connotation. It's like,
I mean, we try to not have an echo chamber. We, yeah.
well,
I don't know how else
time.
to say that. It's just like we're kind of like conscious of like we're not circle jerking around all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's, I mean, so honestly, I kind of want you to talk about that a little
Yeah, I
bit
was gonna touch
because,
on
yeah,
more on like the concept of like vision
yeah,
and stuff. So you talked about the all the mag scans and the photos and stuff. And it's like looking at those kind of is what elevated my stuff. Because you see a lot of beginner artists and they're just trying to copy like the big names. And a lot of those names are like quantity over quality.
mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to God, I had the word in my head like 2 hours ago. If you're
Like 2 hours ago.
I was thinking about this exact phrase.
I
I
was
was like,
gonna
I'm gonna
say,
say this on the podcast. It's gonna be so
he's like
good.
in the car with his hands like white knuckling. God, I'm just gonna remember this. I'm gonna say it on the podcast.
So if you're like, if you're inspired by something that has no inspiration, let's put it like that,
Yeah,
then what are you doing? It's directionless.
right.
You end up with something that just doesn't have a real
It's
vision.
like watered down of watered down
watered down of something that didn't even have whatever in it to begin with. It was just water.
Right.
So it's like literally looking at pictures of cars, just looking at pictures of cars, and you start to develop a vision, and you're like, it'd be cool to try that, or try to do something that fits with this, or
Yeah.
do something inspired by this. And so you have to find your own vision. You have to be really into it.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah. See, I mean, to me, that's like the ideal way to think about
Right.
it, really. Because you bring you make a really good point about kind of a lot of people coming in, understandably, kind of gravitate towards the big names, as you said, and it's like because, well, that, as with everything, the algorithm definitely comes into play with that, which is one of the reasons why I'm so intent on like making people aware of like you guys and your work, because again, blah 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 algorithm, but it's like you got there goes the computer. If for whatever reason the video just turned off on YouTube, I'm so sorry, but only Liam knows how to open the computer. But the audio will be here, so if it cut off on YouTube, you can listen to the rest of this on Spotify. But yeah, so you make a really good point about it being a watered down version of a watered down version of water,
Right.
and it's because it's like there's very little to no soul to begin with, and I think that's a huge problem with, I mean, ultimately really any like creative endeavor, but this is not exempt from that. One thing that I have observed is like, because render art is like, I mean, you may disagree with me, and if you do, I want you to tell me why.
Okay.
But like, render art is still kind of like a automotive render art. I should specify. Is still kind of like a really small world.
It's about to blow up, like, or if it hasn't already. Like,
Yeah.
the commercialization has hit to a degree. Like, was it Yasid that has gotten jobs at video games because of his render stuff,
I have no idea.
or one of the big names, basically. And so I think it's hit the masses. Like, if you're a kind of just regular car enthusiast, you would reasonably know, like, oh yeah, renders are a thing. People make renders. The kind of lower tier journalism, auto journalism websites will just start making individual articles about single renders.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, in a way, it's kind of blown up already.
Yeah.
But I think whatever point you're about to make, it makes sense to that it's still small.
I guess. See, it's so funny because I need to pay. Ultimately, I really need to kind of explore and pay more attention to like the render artists outside of all you guys that I know, just for the sole purpose of like being aware of what else is out there. Because if I'm being totally honest with you, right now, obviously, my main focus is and will remain on what you guys are doing, because what you guys are doing to me is just the top tier.
What are we doing to you?
Huh?
What are we doing to you?
Making shit. What do you mean? What are we? I'm gonna punch you on the podcast. Garrett told me to do that actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He told me to punch you like in the video.
That's typical. He told me to tell you were dumb. So
it's we're all
you're fighting a proxy war, Garrett. How do you feel? Are you happy?
we're all friends in the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what I was getting at is like, I want to just familiarize myself, I guess, to the nth degree about like what other people are doing, just so I can have the full scope. You know what I mean? Because I don't like eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. There's most certainly going to be gaps in my awareness of like what the entire scope is. People not in the Discord, people I don't know about. It's like perfect example is, as far as I know, Ash Thorpe and Color Sponge are not, in the Discord. I don't know. Are they?
No, they're not.
Okay. So they're not in the Discord. And I would think you would agree with me, all of you guys would agree with me, that they're like
really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can't speak for everyone, but I think general-ish, a few people have the opinion like they're incredible technically, but sometimes their design aspect of it will kind of fall flat.
Okay.
Or maybe the realism of it or the authenticity of it. But
Yeah.
from a technical standpoint, they're insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because Ash Thorpe has been a huge artistic inspiration of mine for a number of years now, ever since my friend DJ in Michigan put me on to him, because I hope he hears me say this, but I'm kind of like a dollar store version of my friend DJ artistically. So by the time that he's like been into somebody for like a couple of years and it makes its way into a conversation between the two of us, all of a sudden my obsession with that person begins. And Ash Thorpe was one of those. And so when, I don't fucking remember how long ago, he was already making auto renders like time to time. But obviously between him and Color Sponge, like within the last like probably 2 years or so, he's been like leaning pretty heavily into it. And I just like, I don't know. Again, man, it's probably like my bias. Technically, I can kind of see, taking a step back, I can kind of see what you mean about the designs like falling
Right.
flat.
And that might even just be a taste thing,
Yeah, well,
like not to knock their renders, they're fantastic.
Yeah, well, and that's honestly, that's kind of what I was gonna like roll into with this next question is like, so what's actually funny? There was another podcast episode where I brought up something that you did without mentioning your name. Do you know the one that I'm talking about?
No.
So it was, I don't remember who did the render. I honestly don't fucking care. But it was a Kaido racer something. I don't remember what it, you
yeah,
know.
it was F40.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So
Yes.
I saw that and I was like indifferent to that car. Like I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was just like indifferent to it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. Um, but so I'm scrolling down to like see what the comments are because the dude made a Kaido Racer F40, so you people are gonna lose their shit one way or another. And sure enough, I find Verone that, and what cracked me up is you did it on your personal
Yeah, I
account,
did.
so
The
nobody,
fight is personal.
so nobody could even like be like, who the fuck did this guy? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so he does know something. He didn't even do it on his Verone account. He just was like, but anyway, so I of course don't remember what you said like verbatim, but you were basically like, hey man, like I don't fuck. Do you remember
I
like
said
generally what you
I
said?
said this is like hastily done and ill researched.
Yeah,
Something like that.
and so it was funny because like of course immediately people were like, oh, this fucking weeb, this and
Yeah.
that. But I mean, I honestly, I was cool with how dude reacted. I mean, he was not,
Yeah.
he really wasn't militant about, at least publicly, I
Yeah.
guess. Technically, I don't know if he like DM'd you or anything.
No. He he kind of brushed it all off though, because
Yeah.
he wasn't even like, oh, that's an interesting point. I didn't know that. Might look into it. Maybe not. He's just kind of like, this is my opinion. He didn't
Well,
even say I disagree with you. Well, no, never mind.
now, well, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to introduce this point to you. If somebody did the same thing to you,
Yeah.
what do you feel like your response would be? So, like, I'm not,
Yeah.
that's not a
No, but
loaded question. Like, I
no,
want to
like
know.
I'd be damn. I fucked up. I tried to make it authentic, and it clearly fell flat to this one guy. What did I do wrong?
That's interesting. Honestly, that's really interesting to me because I mean, it's like a part of me wants to tell you like that's absolutely the way to go about it. The other part of me is kind of like, especially considering the caliber of work that you're putting out. I mean, I feel like might be like going too deep into it, but like a part
No.
of me was wanting to hear you be like, I know what I'm doing. You know what I
That's
mean?
absolutely how to develop an echo chamber 101.
Yeah.
So it's not, because the whole point of us, that community, is like to not do that.
Well, I meant more. So it would be one thing if somebody in the Discord told you that, but like
No, I
some
mean
fucking
I
random
mean
guy.
rando. But I'm saying like all of us have the attitude of like, yeah, we can make a mistake. We're
Yeah.
not infallible.
Yeah.
So if any rando approached us, I'd hope we would at least be like, what's the reason the guy said this?
Yeah. See, this is why I wanted to have him on the podcast, man. He's it's if it was just me and Liam talking about this, I promise you, neither one of us would have said what you just said. So it's like this is why, man. It's
Circling back to that F40, I think the funniest part of that comment thread was someone who was from the server and is entrenched in old Kaido stuff as well as other stuff. Wrote a comment kind of pointing out more holes in the thing, and the guy that replied to it is like, actually, the point of these cars is to kind of make them how you want, so the people that actually care about this kind of stuff, the people that care about Kaido cars would disagree with you. And he said this to the guy that like really cares about Kaido cars, which I mean you wouldn't really have a way of knowing, but I find it funny that like, how does that guy know that that's what Kaido people would think?
so I have a good point that I want to bring up because I have a personal like thing about this what you just brought up. So it's really interesting to me because none of us are fucking experts on this
Yeah.
subculture that we had no direct part of. But so there is the school of thought that you just mentioned that you guys all have. And it makes sense because you spend so much time and effort really looking at the details and absorbing them and doing things like that because you're all very attentive to detail, right? So there's that school of thought that there are like rules, right? The other school of thought is kind of akin to what he said, which for me personally, I don't know, this might surprise you, I have no idea. Me personally, a part of me agrees with what he said, but I'm going to tell you why. So, Kaido race, like I had Takayuki was somebody that shot for me in Japan for Not Fast. And this man literally traveled around the entire island just following Kaido racer shows. And there were some great ones and there were some absolutely garbage ones, right? And I mean everything is like that, obviously. But if you were to ask the people that are actually involved in all of that stuff over there, I guess, and technically neither of us have the answer to this, but I guess the point that I'm trying to like make is that the guys with the really shitty ones, I mean, if you ask them, they're still going to tell you it's a Kaido racer.
Yeah, no, because it is like
And it's like I think that's where at a certain point. Oh, go ahead.
no, you finish.
Well, I mean, I can tell you're like rearing to go.
Okay, so if you're watching this at home, I don't even know if the camera's still working. Like, if you're watching, like, I don't know anything. None of us are end all be all authorities on anything. I'm not better than you.
Because
okay?
you know what? I'm gonna let what he just said be the disclaimer for this episode because I forgot to make it at the beginning.
Okay, so cool. I'm not better than you. No, you have to like realize that no, I was not going anywhere with that sentence.
Well, I mean, I can finish it. It's not that serious.
Oh, okay, that works. It's not that serious, but also it's like, no, no, I'm leaving it. I can't find a way into it. I don't know what I was gonna go with it. So the thing that most of our criticisms, and this ties back nicely into it's art. It's fantasy. It's not a real car. You can do anything.
Right.
You have the license to do that. Like our criticisms to that guy were just like, hey, like this suspension setup is physically impossible.
Yeah.
Like your art just can't do that. And then I think we had a couple like you're trying to emulate a Kaido racer. I think it's reasonable to say like, hey, that's not really doesn't look like a Kaido racer livery wise or like. But at the end of the day, it is like fiction. It's fantasy. You can do anything.
Yeah.
A lot of us in the community are the Discord are like insistent upon realism, and so we never start anything without thinking, can that be manufactured? How would that be manufactured? What would that look like in real life? Is the thickness of that like would that hold up? Stuff like that.
Well, and I think that's one of the things, and I've told you this before. That's one of the things that I love about y'all's creative process because I think that's just like the fucking cherry on top because it's exactly what you just said. You can do anything that you want, and for the sake of, I mean, not even just for the sake of challenge, but just because you enjoy that part of it, you guys choose to stay within the parameters of, X amount of realism.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I can appreciate it. I think a lot of people can appreciate that because look at what it creates. You know what I mean? Look at the products of that.
Right. Because most of us are either trying to do something to a style, so our limit is authenticity, or like making an original design with a purpose. Mm-hmm. So it's like I guess originality.
Yeah.
And that's because I was talking with like before on my older projects had a habit of like making everything. Like I'd make the wheels and the arrow and the everything because they were like original concepts from my like brand, the whole complete design.
Yeah, which I want to talk about that later because that's.
So I was talking to him and I was talking about the mass cars. I was like, yo, I'm thinking about I want to do like a magnesium 5-spoke. And he's like, what's the point? Like, do you know how many magnesium 5-spokes exist? And I'm like, because that's a part of his philosophy. He's like, his designs stand on their own because like the point is to be an original design that exists.
You can plug him also if you want.
Yeah, I'll do it at the end of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And so it's like, but I realized like, what is the point? Like it's not even like adding an original look. It's just I'm making it for the sake of me making it. So. And actually, I was only making those wheels because I wanted to use a logo on the car that I made, and I thought it was really nice. But I ended up going a different way with the car, so it worked out nicely. But it also kind of made me think, like, yeah, I can use wheels that aren't mine because, like, if I'm not making an original design that's not conceptually original, then like that's kind of just weird. That's a raw and complete thought. Like I don't quote me on that.
No, but
someone will quote me on that.
No, it's like, but I get it though. But I get it, and I think, well, and another, you're saying that's a raw, incomplete thought. Like, I understand logically what you're saying when you say that, but I think a lot of people's artistic process, when you try and put it into words, kind of ends up like that because it's like this ongoing dialogue with yourself in your head. So it's really hard to like verbalize that sometimes. But I get it, But it's funny because I think it makes me chuckle because like.
Are you chuckling right now?
I mean, you don't see me chuckling right
Makes
now?
you chuckle? Think that's funny? Think it's fucking funny, Matt?
You think I'm funny? Do I look like a clown to you? But no, so the idea that the amount of times that we say it in this podcast that it's like not that serious.
Yeah.
It's so funny because if you look at literally any of this stuff hard enough, you ultimately come to that conclusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, I feel like what you just said is kind of a microcosm of that idea, right? But returning to the context that there is a point, I just think that I lost it again. Golly. No, I'm not gonna lie though. I do want to talk about the Kaido Racer thing some more because I think this is a really interesting thing for you and I to talk about. It's just like, and I kind of like let off steam in the episode about gatekeeping about groups of people that kind of like have deemed themselves like authorities on Kaido racers in the United States.
So what do you have to do with
and
it?
That's exactly what I don't understand how they arbitrarily decided that arguably the most like what is the word?
Amateur.
Not even no, it's
grassroots. I know what you're trying to say.
It's like it's not obscure, but it's like I almost want to say obtuse. Like that kind of makes sense. It's like the most
abstract, vague.
Abstract. Exactly. I don't really.
This guy's like the other half
the
of this guy's brain.
Hard drive.
Yeah. There you go.
It's no, but like I'm sure anybody that knows anything remotely about that stuff would agree with me in that is at least one of the more abstract Japanese car subcultures because it's like when they started doing that, people would just fucking cut the plastic.
Yeah, no, like I got
and
this,
just put it on there.
I got this old bucket. Like last Sunday, I watched a race on my Sanyo TV, which is crumbling. It's from 1951.
Yeah.
And they had some pretty crazy fire-breathing silhouette racers. I know how to get some like fiberglass and shit. Let me do it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And there was nobody in their ear like that.
That didn't count.
That's not real. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just like that. As a matter of fact, I know I sound like a broken record when I talk about this stuff, but like a part of me I just really want to fight that at every turn. This idea that there's like a prescribed way that you have to do that. Because don't get me wrong, there are many sides of this coin. There's two sides of the fucking coin. But like this is a multifaceted thing, I guess is what I'm getting at.
A multi-sided coin.
The coin has like 5 sides. It's got like a couple different planes of existence, this coin.
What kind of coins are you using? It's got 3.
But yeah, it's one of the more abstract ones with, depending on who you guys, it doesn't have any rules. Now, I'm seeing, since you've said what you just said, I'm now seeing more where you are coming from and where I guess all of you guys are coming from, whereas like you're pretty focused on like the realism to the nth degree, which now it makes sense. Because a part of me when I read that, I swear to God, a part of me when I read that was like, oh no. Yeah. He's saying that it has rules and I
can see that.
But,
and so we know this guy. And so he tries to go for, this car, but it's a lowrider. This car, but it's a Kaido racer. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, it's like we can reasonably estimate that this guy was going for authenticity. Mm-hmm. So we decided to say, hey, look, you fell short on that. We weren't saying like, you can't, it's not a Kaido racer because we said so.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you said that because honestly, dude, I love this. That's such an important distinction to make, and I think that's super valuable for anybody that now will look into all of you guys and follow your work, and granted, follow what you believe because that comes with your work. And I think that's a really important piece of context to know. And it's like, that's another thing that I've kind of learned hanging out in the Discord that I think is really cool, that I'm kind of like formulating in my head literally this minute, is going back to what we were talking about, like intaking all this different media and you kind of absorb that. I think that's really cool that there is such a marked difference, like in I don't feel so like weirdly exclusive to call it y'all's circle, but that's what it is.
It is,
It's
yeah.
just you guys.
Yeah.
But like in y'all's circle where you can absorb that stuff, but it's not like, oh, here's this platform, I'm just gonna make it lowrider.
Right.
Like, no, like it, in looking at any, just for point of fact, like, no.
Right.
For point of focus, the lowrider kind of stuff, or even like the slanger shit.
Yeah.
Or fucking slab, sorry. The wheels are slangers. But
Swanger.
what did I just say? Slangers?
Slanger.
What a fucking noob. Holy
Slanger.
shit.
It's always weird. Like,
all the Houston people are like, man,
yeah.
fuck you.
Sorry. We're sorry.
No, I'm sorry. He didn't do it. He knew what they're called. Anyway, continue.
Okay, no, where are we going?
No, just talking about how...
No, I had something queued up. Yes, okay. You've helped me kind of realize this now. Like, all of us are like trying to document or a lot of us are trying to document certain car cultures, like, in each thing. And so all of us are building to realism. A lot of us are building to authenticity. And so I feel like there might be a misunderstanding on that. Like, some people think like we're trying to just put rules on it.
Yeah.
But we're not. Like, we're putting rules on our stuff because we're trying to go for a goal.
Perfect. No, like
once again, like, I'm not right. I'm not better than you, and you have a license to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And again, I think that's a really important piece of context that I would not have known to tell them. You know what I mean? Just because we hadn't had the conversation yet.
Right.
But I was gonna. It was about Boki.
Oh yeah, that's the guy. No, I mentioned Boki's name.
No, now I don't remember. But
he was like a walking encyclopedia, 20 German.
It was about Boki and MAS, but now I'm starting to think that one of those was fabricated in the corner of my mind.
I put it there.
So okay, no, we'll use that. Where? So again, fuck, I don't. Especially if the video died, I don't know if we can do the thing. But I will just like.
That'd be a bummer if the video was gone.
Honestly,
can you like?
Well,
just swipe on the
because it's got the password.
Oh.
Yeah, I do think it's still running though. Okay. But so your entry to Machine Auto Salon.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. If there's no video, Matt is naked right now. If there is video, I just didn't say anything.
I slowly removed my clothes as we've been talking, and he just played it cool.
Cool. So a lot of the times I have like a good idea, I don't know where it's from. I have no idea. Like, why did I get into 3D modeling? I don't know. I don't know why I thought about that yellow Celica. I don't know why I said, let me like make a European car. Or make a Japanese car European, like a tour, like the 86 style CB, but push it even more.
Yeah.
I don't know what, like I live and breathe European style now, which I didn't before that project.
Do you really? No shit.
And I mean, like I'd appreciated European car before, but now I'm just like, yeah, like fuck JDM, dude. Like, no, not really. But I do
fixated.
Yeah, I do really appreciate European cars. Shout out to European cars. If you're a European car watching this right now, dude, you're killing it. Show this to your European car, maybe.
Somebody takes their laptop like outside in the driveway. Like, yeah, check it out. Hey man, you put the idea out there. I just
Okay.
You were talking about.
We're talking about mass, and so you're saying, the idea just kind of popped up, and I rolled with it. And the idea of having one car converted by Verone, the company, not Verone the man. Perhaps Verone the man built one of the cars, but Verone the company
The man, the myth, the legend.
So they converted the car. The idea is that like it's like it's a total car. You send your 86 out, and then they refurbish it, put the European stuff on it, or you can just buy the. Actually, I haven't thought about that part. I haven't thought that deeply about it. Someone asked me about it like months ago, and I'm like, I'll get back
Asked
to
you
you on
about
that.
what?
Like lore wise, what services does Verone offer? Can you buy the complete car, or can you just buy? So I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's murky waters. And essentially, the concept of having one car converted and then two more versions based off it was originally came from a different project where it was, I'm not gonna say it. It was one car, and then there was gonna be the three sub brands. It's V Equipment, Amber Hill, and Ratio.
Go ahead, laugh.
Funny. You don't even get it. You're just laughing because we're laughing. Like,
no, you're not wrong.
No,
I know a little bit more what it means now.
Because I very agonizingly explained it to you that one time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I fucking know it now, don't I?
Yes, you do. You should ratio somebody in the comments of this video.
I will try.
Attempted ratio.
I will try.
I don't know how your bloodline will be cursed if you fail the ratio.
I don't know how well it'll go though, because I have like 100 and something followers on the Substance Matt account.
And you can't do it to like a constructive comment, like love the show. Ratio. Ratio, fuck off.
Unfollowed, but blocked.
Reported. Reported for just this disgusting ratio.
Fucking
where's your mind?
Reported. I still don't even fucking know what it means. Whatever. Anyway,
it means your ratio was bad. It means it was really bad.
What is ratio the car? Get out of here, dude. We're gonna have like a fucking boomer lesson on the podcast.
You want me to tell you what ratio the internet slang is?
No.
Okay, good.
I want you to tell me what ratio you're.
So, back when I started, and I was building these brands, and I was doing the graphic design, I'm like, okay, cool. V Equipment, VEQT. Wow, way back. I had this kind of purple-red R33 narrow body car because it looks good. And it was I was like thinking about the M-Tech bumper that you could get from Nissan, and I'm like, was it called M-Tech? I think it was called M-Tech. And I was like, I like this bumper. Let me just kind of make it but bigger and more exaggerated, then do the rest of the kit around it. And I wanted to call the thing V-Tech. Like the sub, but it was like, but then I was like, you know what? No, I can't. Like V-Tech is a thing. And so I was like tech, manufacture, equipment, supply, and I landed on V Equipment.
Yeah. And
then the abbreviation is VEQT. The logo, the stylization.
Look how it worked out though.
Yeah, no.
V Equipment's fucking sick.
Flawlessly.
Yeah.
Every move was calculated. Every move was calculated. And then I was like, okay, so now I was like, I kind of do want to make something sporty, like for the Kitano Burnout Paradise Coupe. Kitano Hydros Custom. I wanted to make these kind of like sporty track wheels, and I was like, okay, well, the equipment wouldn't make these. VGT, how about that? And it's because I insisted that everything start with V, and yeah, it should, but not in a way where it's like there's no character to the brand because it's VGT.
Yeah.
And so eventually, I sort of put aside VGT for a while. I didn't make anything that would have fit that bill. And then I think it was a combination of this guy, Artist Raw, and Mick Kamal. Both of them kind of sent me like, hey, here's how our lore brand structures are going. I'm like, you know what? I should really kind of settle this now that I have more experience under my belt. So I think, so Amber Hill is another story. Eventually it was Amber Hill. It came to be Amber Hill. And then kind of Ratio just popped up out of nowhere. Because I've been saying Ratio like so much. People were sick of it. And I'm like, I should just be that guy. And then whatever was left of like VGT, like that's Ratio now.
Yeah.
There's sort of three branches. The V Equipment is like kind of OEM plus stuff and like kind of airy looking concept cars and stuff. Ratio is like, here's your sporty hard parker aerodynamics and stuff. And then Amber Hill is like, here's your VIP.
Yeah.
So where were we going with this?
Well, I mean, I just kind of wanted you to talk about it, and you did kind of like the inspiration.
Yeah.
Behind that and.
Oh yeah. Oh, whatever.
No, I hit it.
No, I forgot.
So no, one thing I want to talk about for the viewers at home, and you fucking knew I was going to bring this up, is this man had a part of the taillight. I almost said headlight. You
Good
corrected
God.
me last
Yeah,
time.
you brought that up.
So I was looking at the detail shots as one of the judges at MAS. I was looking at one of the detail shots of the car, and it was the taillight, and it had this little amber lens in it.
No, it didn't.
What did it have that I fucking brought that
A
up and you were
reflector.
like compliant, huh?
A reflector.
What the fuck did I say? A lens?
An amber lens, but there's no amber in the
Oh,
taillight.
fucking a reflector.
I'm being a jerk for. It's okay.
Semantics. But yes,
it was. You want me to just?
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, it was a taillight, and the internals are clear, and it had those kind of red reflectors in the back and the side, and then it was covered by a red lens. That's the taillight. That's how most of them are.
So, and then what the fuck? What specifically? Did
You
I
just
ask
saw
you?
that. You saw like, I don't know. I was explaining it. Oh no. You just said I was just explaining the taillight.
Yeah.
And I brought up. I was like, yeah. So the DRLs here are LED, and then if you brake, that's also the brakes. There's a halogen reverse bulb in the center. I think it's halogen. And then on the back and sides, there are reflectors for compliance.
That's what it was. And I was like, record, hold the fuck on. Did you just say for compliance? He was like, yeah. I was like, are you talking about like legal regulations compliance? He's like, yes.
Of course.
And I'm like,
no one else does
who
this?
the fuck? Like, that's that level of realism. Like, you can, dude, these guys could make quite literally anything. At least if you can get, well, no, even if you can't get your hands on the model, you can model your. Of course, it's like, as you said, it's
a
an
pain in the
unbelievably
ass,
painstaking
well, it's
process.
not really,
but
but we're just at the beginning of our arcs.
So, but the point is, you can make virtually anything that you want, and you choose to get down to fucking being like completely road legal and compliant. Like,
Yeah, and
that's just fucking, like in a good way, not
Yeah.
like you're crazy, but like, that's just so crazy to me. Like that level of attention to detail.
And it comes back to like that sort of detail and authenticity kind of brings this group together. And it's all about the mission. Like if I were making a concept car, I wouldn't do that. Well, it depends even on the concept car.
Yeah.
But the point of the mass car was like this is supposed to be a kit that you can buy, street it, and it's supposed to just be a regular car. You can drive it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on the goal, and you just have to be authentic to your goal.
Yeah. Well, and granted, I don't know, the ins and outs of y'all's goal every time you do a fucking project, but
World domination.
it certainly appears that you guys like hit it every time. I'm sure, as the ones who did the whole thing, you probably can find a million fucking problems with it. But outwardly, I feel like at least in the case of like that car specifically, for me, it extends to everything y'all all make. But for that car specifically, I think you very much hit what you were going for, really. But yeah, that
can I speak on that just a touch?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So Noriaro, shocking. I can't believe. Okay, so Noriaro was the guest judge at Machine Auto Salon. Blew me away.
Yeah.
The fact that he picked my car for the Noriaro choice was incredible. The most surreal part of it is that he recited back to me my goal. He was like, yeah, I can see. He named like the brands like Duck's Garden, and like he literally named back exactly what I tried to do. And that sounds like, yeah, it worked.
Yeah. That's fucking cool. I had no idea that happened. That's super cool. Did he just like DM'd you or what?
No, like, because he was like saying like, because he was kind of, Garrett was like, hey, so you're going to be here, but this is the only time you're here. So like, just tell us, what's your pick for that choice? So he said kind of like, oh, this one's good, but you come back to Verone's and like, he listed like all the influences. Crazy.
Yeah, he must. I guess he must
Because
have like
he gets around. No, but like he goes to auto salons, and so his criteria for his Noriaro choice was which one just feels the most like an auto salon.
Yeah. And
so he's like, the key thing that he talked about was like my product felt like it was authentic.
Oh, I mean, I I would definitely agree with that. I think arguably yours, I guess by design, felt more like a product just because of that level of realism. How you were talking about how all of that stuff would ultimately be plug and play.
Yeah.
On,
Yeah, I
on,
left
on an
the
8.6.
fenders and hood and everything like stock.
Yeah.
So you can use any one of those.
So I mean that, dude, it's just like that. That's what I mean, man. That level of attention to detail, like you're approaching that from a different way than I feel like a lot of people do, especially outside of like y'all. You're approaching that in a very different way, and it's like impressive, really, is the word that I would use, is it's really impressive because for me as an individual, attention to detail, and I'm going to say this until I'm dead and I'm really annoying in saying it, but attention to detail is like I live for it, right? But really unique, just really unique approaches to creative works kind of do it for me in the same way. Even if there is a marked lack of detail. In your case, you have both, right? But in other cases, it could very much be just like if there is like Brawler, for instance, right?
Oh my god.
So
Insane.
So Brawler, I mean, there's definitely detail, but it's a different approach.
Yeah.
He takes a different approach than other people take, right?
But the
And
care
so-
is the same.
Right. And so, but it's like when fucking so Brawler did in the middle of the auto salon,
Blew me away.
he like came out of nowhere with this program that he was saying he basically learned how to use during.
Well, no, he was
Like-
trying to set it up during the
He was trying to set it up
Do you want
like
me to
during
explain it. Yeah.
because you're gonna be better.
Because
at
I
me,
was
so, yeah.
so essentially he was using his phone to track the camera in Blender. So he could point his phone and walk around his bedroom, and it was like he was walking around his booth in his car
It was fucking
on the
insane.
computer. And this is I almost knocked the table.
You're good.
Like he put out a video that used this because he wanted to get that kind of hand video camcorder effect.
Mhm.
And this was a while ago. And since then I've wanted to try it, but I don't have an iPhone. So I hadn't been able to.
Yeah.
So crazy. He pulled it
I
out.
think-
Everyone was just
I was gonna say, I think it was at that moment that it kind of like, frankly, it kind of like changed the game for a lot of us. I think the real dimensions of what we were doing, where what was happening. I think when he did that, you're fine. I think when he did that, that kind of was like the oh shit moment for a lot of us, because that just by itself kind of shed a little bit of light on the possibilities for the future, really.
Right.
And I mean, it's but all that to say, even aside from that, his booth, his car, the style of artwork he does is detailed in that there's a lot of assets going on.
Yeah. But it's not
But it's not detailed in the same way as you.
it's not
but
detailed
like-
in a technical sense.
Right.
But in an artistic sense, my God.
And that's what I mean. His approach and what his finished product looks like. I was kind of talking about it then, is like for me it's like the cohesion. Like I have such a hard on for when that was I was like thinking about it before I said it. I was like, don't say
Pause.
it, and then I said it. I've just got such an affinity for when I changed it up.
Oh, I've got quite
For
an affinity
when
right now.
for when
I've got a raging affinity for
Shut the fuck up. Oh my god. So, when people have world building,
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
like when you as an artist can like effectively to whatever degree like invite people into what you're seeing
Right.
within yourself and like what your aesthetic is as you see it within yourself, to me that is like fucking awesome. That is and it's something that I feel like I personally struggle with, so I kind of like at this point just kind of like look for it elsewhere, and when I find it elsewhere I get really excited about it.
Right.
So when I saw his booth, even before he did all of that, just he has nailed that fucking. Here's the only thing about talking with you guys is I feel like with the slangers thing, that my brain is always like, don't say the wrong thing because they know the right thing.
But feel
don't
free
say the
to,
wrong
because then
thing.
we'll correct you.
But
there's not an L in that word; it's a W.
Thank you. But so he's kind of like PS2, like early 2000s graphics, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like that's so cool to me that he's taken that and he's built his whole whole like aesthetic off of that. And it's like that's such a small blip within I think no, Povey said it. I was gonna say Alexi might, but I think Povey said it where he was talking about like how he captures the essence of that otherwise very small like niche type of design so well.
Right.
I mean, would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
And it's just, I don't know, man. It was just really cool. But I digress. It's kind of like I can just really appreciate when people have really different approaches because I think to some degree there are so many people that do creative things. It's impossible that there's a lot of creative processes that don't overlap because some creative processes just like they have to be a certain way.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, you can't get X result. But like, I don't know. I have such an affinity for
throbbing affinity
for. Oh, that is going to be the first thing they're all parroting when this episode comes out.
God.
You already know.
No, that's a great point.
But no, so like to me, even just trying to like think in my own brain, your creative process where you literally came up with 3 different, I want to call them marks. Would you call them marks?
Sub-brands.
So you came up with 3 different sub-brands and approached all of them with the same level of like detail and thought. I mean, dude, I don't know what it seems like inside your head, but that's a big undertaking. That is a big undertaking. Like that is a lot of moving parts.
And I think certainly some parts of that fell flat because it was such a huge thing.
I mean, and that may be, but I feel like for me, you could almost measure like, this is going to sound really weird, but I'll explain it. You can almost measure like movies in the same way that it's such a big undertaking. There are going to be parts that fall flat.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of that creation, that's okay. You know what I mean? You can't, it's impossible. Everything is not going to be perfect. And anybody that creates literally anything knows that. But ultimately, what I'm saying is like, first of all, I hope you are if you're not, but you should be proud of what you did because it really is, man. Like, and I don't want to bring age into this because ultimately it doesn't matter. But it's kind of like being 17 and putting in, frankly, the blood, sweat, and tears and time and hours, learning how to execute what it is that you're thinking. You should be proud of that, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, that is not a normal thing. That's not, people, I've been told this since I was a kid. Everybody has their thing they're good at, right? And that may be true, but like, for me, when I try and like put myself in your shoes, I fucking can't because my brain doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, to me, that's really fucking cool. When I try to imagine myself doing what you did, I can't. And it's like, it's with a lot of you, just solely basing it off of the MAS entries, there's just such big undertaking with so many little moving parts. And there was not a single entry for me, at least while I was awake. There was not a single
We
entry
rolled
for
out all
me.
the good stuff after we fell asleep.
Oh, that always happens to me, dude. There was not a single entry for me that didn't like really impress me. And granted, some of them may have been in a different way. You know what I mean? Like obbies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we all fucking loved that. I mean, you had the comedic value of like how he
Yeah.
presented it, but like as you can imagine, I lost my fucking mind when he talked about how he actually followed the regulations and like that. Okay, so just to give you guys context, who don't know for whatever if you weren't watching it or whatever, he made I was about to say a Q50, but in Japan it's a Nissan Skyline. But for the U.S. people, he made a Q50 that was is it GT3 or JGTC?
God, I don't know.
Whatever. It's
Super GT. No, Super GT.
It might be. I think it is
Super GT.
Well, some people listening are probably like, "What the fuck's the difference?" So it's like the current GT racing class in Japan with like it's basically the new version of super silhouette racing. Like the aero is absolutely crazy. They're super wide. What?
I want to say I have qualms with that statement.
Well, tell me.
No, it's just like that's just racing. Like it's not the new version of super silhouette. It's the same thing. Like motorsport has continued. It's just
Well, the only reason I say that is
to go
because
back
it's
to the
specifically a Japan racing series.
Oh yeah, but I can't articulate why that bothers me so acutely.
Okay, well,
so we'll roll with it.
Yeah, we'll rewind it and say it is
the current class of GT
racing in Japan, and the the hallmarks are really, really aggressive aero, really wide. Yeah, it's just that. It's really, really aggressive aero, really wide, and it's super fucking cool. If you guys do, I mean, not to plug myself, but if you guys follow my Substance Matt account, you're gonna have at least one photo of a Super GT car in my story every single day. But all that to say, he did 2D artwork. He didn't render it. He did 2D artwork of this all black Super GT Nissan Skyline,
which doesn't exist, by the way. He made this up.
Right.
Like they don't run a Skyline in Super GT.
Right. He made it up. And he made it up and was attentive to such a degree that during the middle of his presentation, he casually mentioned that when he was designing the car, he went out of his way to look up the current regulations for that racing series and followed them.
Because to us, it's like, why would you do it any other way?
See, that's people don't think like that.
Which is,
that's what
I suppose that's true.
That's what sets you guys apart, is because that is not a common thing. Like the big names, as it were, the render artists that
keep speaking.
The render artists that are generally populating like people's Explore pages and things like that, it would appear that they approach this in a way that it's very much that like, well, I can do whatever I want, so I'm going to, right? You guys do that, but you do it within the parameters of what can actually be done. That's a deviation. That's the exception, not the rule. And I think that's why it's so... I'm blowing up my phone. Give me a second. Okay. That is why I am going to try so hard continuously to direct my attention to the project you guys are working on, because that goes with the rest of our theme for this podcast, really, and my just personal philosophy is like, the details are really important. And it's like when you pay attention to the details, they speak for themselves. You don't have to add all of this like crazy stuff that's not based in reality to build an impressive car if you're paying attention to the details. So that's my perspective. But
I think I was gonna say, you'll get a real kick out of this. So you know the dude that did the, like kind of the MR2, the blue one,
yeah.
and it was so he actually after the show he made
No shit.
he
did
made the
actually?
yeah.
Oh my god.
So now it's in like proper kind of the low poly style.
Dude, that's so cool.
This
Oh
isn't
my
even the
God.
kicker though. There's a dude who actually works for race teams and stuff and has worked at like motorsport adjacent industries that does these really technical illustrations of
No way.
cars.
Dude, holy fuck. Can you send me this?
Yeah, it's in the. Oh, well, you don't
I'm
want
not
to-
gonna
Okay.
fucking find. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Matter of fact, send me both of those.
Yeah. No. I will shout him out. The first guy is Hakausuka because it's like a pun for like a dumpling, I think. So it's not
Mhm.
Hakosuka, it's Hakausuka. And I believe
Damn,
his
that's
Instagram
so
is
cool.
at Hakausuka Works. The other guy, at Edwarson26.ai, like an Illustrator
That
file.
is
So
cool, dude.
crazy
Holy
stuff.
shit, man. Yeah, so, but that's not even, well, for me, that is the best part. But what goes along with that, Noriaro, should I call him Noriaro or Alexi?
I don't know, Alexi.
I feel like if I call him Alexi, it's like, oh yeah, whatever.
This is just a guy.
Alexi is Noriaro. Alexi was talking about how he, like, in his, what? It's just animation, I guess. Yeah,
His
did
animation.
he did like little animations of, what the car looked like
Like
at
kinda
an auto
panning
salon.
shots and then like the camera photographers and
Yeah.
and then he had like his. You want to say it?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I feel like you deliver it better.
You're wrong. You're gonna remember it better.
Okay,
By all
fine.
means, please.
So, the end of it. So he had his kind of OC, like his original character, kind of put like in front of the car, like taking a selfie, and then you see kind of the background, the booth model, the booth girl, like her feet kind of come into frame, and then like you hear like thundering footsteps and like a bunch of like overweight, like creepy guys just storm the car and the booth, and so like the last frame of it is like his character getting like crushed in the.
That's what was so funny. Well, and for anybody that like doesn't know, like the meme about that is at basically any like big car show in Japan, there's like this weird phenomenon where like there will just be absolutely like there's just like hordes
Yeah.
of dudes with cameras that are completely that's like I don't even they probably take like one picture of the car, if at
Exactly.
all,
This
and then
is-
the rest of them are just completely fixated on the booth girl.
Exactly. This is a huge issue because we'll be like, hey, I need more info about so and so car. I heard it was at Tokyo Auto Salon '96. Cool. Let me see what's there. Well, I went on the internet and I found like 10 DVDs of just the booth girls. Nothing about the cars. Nothing about the cars.
It's so funny. It's such a weird thing. I mean, in a really perverse way, it makes sense, but it's like it's such a funny, strange thing. But all that to say, just these animations that he used, all Alexi put it like really captured
Yeah.
what it's like to be at an auto salon, and like that again. As somebody who does artwork, that amount of like, yeah, well, this is kind of what it's like. This is that percent. Again, maybe I'm not like a good person to compare it to because I'm kind of a fucking dope, but like, it's just so cool to me that he nailed it so much. And what was it, like 4 or 5 different animations, maybe even less? I don't really remember.
It was like a bunch of different angles of the car.
Yeah,
And it was like
so-
animated. There was like a little camera pan and like
And
there was audio to it as well.
yeah, and so when Alexi, who has been to auto salons, which I have not, obviously, was talking about how like he nailed it as far as like how it feels to be there in all reality, where there's like too many people and the lights are terrible and this and that. That's just so fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool, and it's like all you motherfuckers are like that. God, and I want to talk about Hal's car, and I guess we can talk about it, even
can.
though I really wish that it would be a lot easier to like show that. But regardless, I'll figure out a way. to show everybody that's listening to this podcast, but like, oh my God, it's a Nissan Safiro where he did a. I guess it's a
Insanely, it's a livery.
Yeah,
So elaborate. And
it's Japanese traditional tattoo. It's Irizumi tattoo style, and it it literally okay. It is an Irizumi tattoo design of a snake with chrysanthemums and flowing water or wind. Honestly, I don't really remember, but the attention to detail was like lowrider level. Like there was ghost stripes going on. Like it was insane. And he was like, I remember him talking about how there was like certain parts of it. There was like drop shadows where you would never even think about. Like you wouldn't even notice it really. Um, but the craziest fucking thing about it was he eventually comes to a shot that I don't know like the numerical angles, like quarter angle or fuck, but like when I tell you that I was so confused when I first saw it that it was not a render, like
Right.
I have never seen a 2D drawing with so much depth. Never. Never.
He does a lot of like forced perspective and stuff like that.
Like
and on top of that, the 2D rendering quality was so insane. I thought it was like a render.
like I could not believe that. It's just insane, man. It all makes my head spin.
The character he made kind of to go with it.
Yeah.
So when it came time to present the car, he's like, "Yeah, I also made like a little kind of, I guess, character for the car to match the car." And so she had like the same tattoo like down her
Yeah.
arm, and I think Alexei saw it, and he's like, "I'm glad that she's wearing like unsexy clothing."
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing to me. He's like, "That."
Yeah. He was a really, really cool perspective
Yeah.
to have there.
Yeah.
He really was. I think it's kind of funny, like especially in that moment when between what he was saying during Obbies and when he said that, I just think what he was saying was like a unique that was a perspective that only he could have, not in that yes, he's an individual human being, but like that was a perspective that only he could have
With his
considering like
experience.
what he's experienced. You know, so I thought that was really cool. But it's just Liam really hit the nail on the head and I was always so focused on like what you guys were doing, and what you were what you were making. It had not all fully really I hadn't wrapped my head around it until he had said it that one episode where you guys have I want to say mastery, but I know you guys would all be like, "Bleh." But
Mastery.
Mastery of like all of these different things.
I mean, we're pretty good at it.
See, I told you take issue with it, but it's graphic design, photography, lighting, and then comes everything else that you're doing.
Right. And it's just like you sign up for this and you have to do it. There's no way around it.
Well, see, you say that, but there are plenty of people that are just kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I meant was like you sign up for like doing it with this attention to detail, and then it's like, well, no, you got to do everything because there's people that do it and it just looks hollow and like empty,
right?
If you don't,
yeah,
and you don't. The kind of takeaway here is like know your end goal, just have it in mind.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Man,
it was quite the conversation.
Well, it's so funny because I'm enjoying the shit out of it. My brain is just like
shutting down
on 50% right now. It's so bad.
God.
Don't get COVID. I've said it before, but don't do it. Wear a mask. Don't get COVID. But that's hypocritical. I don't really wear masks anymore, but I got COVID, so I'll let that speak for itself. Anyway, yeah. So I think. I don't know. I'm so excited every time I see you guys come out with something new, especially when you like collaborate on it. It just fucking excites me so much because it's like I just already know that it's going to be something that I haven't seen before.
And that's exciting for us too. Like I think Mick said it a long time ago. That like every new project is like a celebration because like it's just such a treat
Yeah.
for the eyes, for the mind.
Fuck yeah, it is.
It's
Hell
like,
yeah, it is.
yeah.
Well, and it's like it makes me think about what you said earlier, where you were kind of like, by the time you're X amount of the way through a project, you fucking hate it.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's like a lot of, there's a lot of like art disciplines that are like that. These people, like the one thing that I've never, I got some in my eye. The one thing that I have never understood, because I've done it probably, well, no, hyperrealism, I've never done it, but like realism on traditional mediums like pencil, whatever.
Yeah.
If you pick a really dynamic like subject,
Right.
it can be really cool.
Yeah.
But I've seen things that people do an unbelievable job in like presenting it in a really realistic, precise, proportionate way.
Right.
But then I look at the piece and I'm just like, that's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, like I obviously appreciate like the attention and the work that went into it, but like, like these people that do hyper realism, it's stuff like that, man, where you're forced to accept the fact that like some people's brains are just kind of like geared for stuff like that, because you can do a huge hyper realistic drawing and finish it and be like, I think I'll do that again in the future.
Right.
Like I would be like, I'm never doing this again, ever again. Like I'm never doing this ever again. And it's kind of like that's, that kind of returns to my point where you guys are just, because you're only regularly experiencing each other.
Right.
I'm not sure you guys all, really, I don't want to say grasp, but yeah, grasp. You guys don't all really grasp like the outside perspective,
right,
of what you're making, because it's amazing.
I can see that. Maybe I'm just brushing it all up. No, I can totally see that.
Part of me, the nonchalance makes me laugh, but I will say though, it's kind of, and I'm really glad that you said it. Not that I ever thought anything different, but I think it's really cool and really, no, I just think it's really cool when we were talking earlier where I said the word echo chamber and you're like, hold on. The fact that you'll just come right out and be like, look, we don't think super highly of ourselves. Like we're just doing what we love to do, and that's like the end of it. And you're open to taking like feedback and criticism, which those two things are just yet another cool thing that you guys all have in common. So, no, I mean, I think, and it was kind of funny. I'm really glad we got to touch on the Kaido racer thing.
I'm glad. I forgot about it. And then out of it came like the meat and bones, flesh and meat.
Flesh and bones?
No, is that really?
That's generally what I've heard. Flesh and bones.
The flesh and bones of this episode. The meat of this episode.
Yeah.
Sorry if you're vegan. Really sorry.
It's I had one more, and I'm sure it'll be gone. I'm sure it's gone.
It's somewhere. I just saw it leave.
Dude, you could just like see, you just see
like little
leave.
Particles coming out of your head. Dude. You should get that checked out.
Ears, like, see it leave my ears. I got headphones on. Man, I am. But I don't know. I mean, is there anything that you can think of that you kind of wanted to talk about that we didn't?
No, I'm terrible.
I'm kind of putting you on
I'm
spot,
terrible with like coming up with stuff.
That's fair. I'd really, if I'm being like 100% honest, if you would be into it, I would in the future, man, I'd really love to have one with like you and Garrett at the same time. But I have no idea if we're ever gonna get 4 mics, so I'll talk to Liam about it.
Well,
but or
just the two of us run it.
Well, no, I'll run it, and it'll be me, you, and Garrett, because we're gonna get a third mic here.
Oh well, yeah.
So I think we'll do that. Yeah. But yeah, man, I think just it drives me nuts that we couldn't have like a visual experience to go along with this, even though I genuinely think the video has been working this whole time.
So last time I was watching the Brands episode and the camera cut out.
It
And
did,
so
but he fixed it.
what did the laptop look like then?
It was because whenever he's doing it, obviously he knows his password,
Yeah.
so he can just like shake the whatever.
Because I was thinking on Spotify, so I thought I didn't have the video anyway. So I
Yeah,
thought it just
no, so
died
it-
for the rest of the episode.
No, it did.
Oh, it did.
The video just died for the rest of the episode.
But like, what did the laptop do?
It just showed like an error message.
Oh,
or
no, it
something.
was just fine. It's just it's locked, but like it's still recording. I bet.
No, I'm sure it is.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is, for you guys listening, this is really visual stuff. And I am in the process of kind of renovating by the time you guys hear this, it'll be renovated. But I'm in the process of renovating Substance Matte, where I'm actually going to be active on it. I'm going to actually start having posts that, kind of highlight things or people that I talked about in the episode. So I am going to be, tagging all of the people that we've been talking about. And hopefully at least putting some of the photos, of the cars that we're talking about. But, oh man, this has been great. I really think I'm like hung up on that Kaido Racer part because that just felt like so cathartic to me for some reason that I got to talk to you yourself about that. But I do, man. I'm really excited, and I hope even 1-2 people listening to this will like go out of their way to kind of look at what you guys are doing also. But like I said, man, I'm just every single time one of you guys comes out with a new post, I'm stoked to go look at it.
I hope if there's any like beginner render artist, anything. I don't know. Maybe this is a sentence with no end.
Hit it.
I don't know. I hope you do it with quality and really are into it so it comes across as authentic and you're not doing it for the clout. Don't take inspiration from clout chasers because your end product will be so bad. So bad.
Funny enough, that applies to anybody getting
anything.
Into all of this
Do
stuff.
not follow clout chasers.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, man.
This is great.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed having you on
I really
here.
enjoyed coming on.
It's funny because he and I we had met, the first time that we had met in person was Riverside in 2019. Yeah, I know.
Wait, what happened on 20? Oh, they canceled.
They had to cancel it.
No, wasn't it like 20 March? No, it wasn't 19. It was some weird
Oh,
wasn't it?
No, it was 2020, but everybody was doing stuff outside of the actual show being closed. Do you remember this?
No,
I was here, Al was here.
But I wasn't there for that. I wasn't there for when most of the cars went to that parking lot off MLK.
I don't remember.
No, because
Honestly.
I went home and made a beat that day, so I'll have a date stamp on it.
Honestly, I don't remember. But no, so we met in person for the first time sometime around Riverside a couple of years ago. But funny enough, I guess technically we hadn't really seen each other since then. And then the other day, he and Liam had been chatting about something in DMs, and it turns out he lives very close to us. And so me and Liam were talking, and the doorbell rang, and we came down here, and he opened the door, and I was like, Verone?
No, because he DM'd me, and it read like a credit card scam. And it was like, hey, I just need your full name and address. And I'm like, but he said, yeah, just come over, pick up the t-shirt since you live so close. And I'm like, I'll do that. And everyone just forgot that you guys said, come do it. So I showed up, and you guys were just like lined up 3 deep at the door, absolutely puzzled. The March 21, 2021. Oh.
It was 2021?
No way.
No
way. But it had to have been because I wasn't there for 20.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, because I wouldn't have had long hair if it were 20.
That feels... I hate
that.
I hate how that feels.
God, that's...
Damn, what the fuck? Okay, so goofy. Yeah, I guess it was 2021, but yeah, so it turns out he lives pretty close to us, so...
I'm his neighbor.
We were like...
I drive him up the wall. I run the leaf blower at like 3 a.m.
It's not any worse than our fucking neighbor that starts up his fucking damn near straight pipe V8 vehicles at like 11:30 at night.
Jesus.
No, you want to know my favorite part? If it's okay with you, I'm gonna just bitch for a second.
Please.
On my public platform.
Yeah.
Mans has, I won't point it out because somebody might know who he is. The point is, he has 2 really loud V8 vehicles. I'm a fan of really loud V8 vehicles in the right environment. Our fucking neighborhood with the secret looking ass neighborhood, it's like, you know, in TV shows where they're like, it was the perfect place to live, but it had a secret like that. That's what our neighborhood looks like. So anyway, it's like the part that annoys me the most. I'm literally just bitching on the podcast. The part that annoys me the most is he will literally turn the car on, move it like 2 feet, and then just turn it back off. Like he's literally turning it on just to be like, I have a V8, and then he'll just turn it back off.
But he does it late, right? Because from an
Late?
outside perspective, I bet Liam does the same thing.
Honestly,
but at
no,
a
no.
reasonable hour.
Honestly, all the worst time. He'll do it either at 6:30 in the morning,
Oh, God.
or he'll do it at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. I'm like, why? Like,
That's
if you want to do that during the day to like flex, I guess, even though none of us give a shit, do it during the day, whatever. But like, why those times?
Right. By the way, what he said about the neighborhood is entirely false. He texted me coordinates, and I drove out
What?
an hour to this field, and
Into
there's like
the-
there's
into
a
the wilderness.
there's a tin. We're inside like a tin hut in the middle of farmland.
In all actuality, he's right. Me, Liam, and Ben all live in an old silo. We all live in an old farm silo. That's why he just said it's tin, because...
No, because this is like an outbuilding. I didn't even know the silo was your house.
Yeah, dude, that's where we live.
Okay, so that makes sense, because I thought you guys like did the commute from somewhere more civilized.
No,
So,
that's where we
so
live,
this
bro.
so this tin is the studio, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you live in the silo.
Right.
Where do you park the cars?
We don't.
I mean, you don't. I just
They're not our cars.
the LS isn't Liam's car.
No.
What the? Then whose car is it?
I don't know. We are getting off the rails right now. All right, well, dude, it was a pleasure having
It
you
was
on. I'm super glad
pleasure to
that
be
we
here.
that we got to, and it's like we kind of alluded to. I genuinely think that here at some point, likely close to Riverside, we will have him and Garrett on at the same time, which will be hilarious, but also very.
I will die. I will lose my life.
I think there's going to be a lot of
Violence.
no, not violence. Honestly, insight. Even though there's going to be like a good amount of like verbal shit posting mixed in with that, I think there is going to be some really cool things said with that. But let's do sleepers really quick before we go. Shout out.
Oh, sleep. Oh, yeah. Why do you
Yeah.
call it sleepers?
I don't know. Liam called it that the first episode, and
What
it's
the
just
fuck?
kind of stuck. Wow, I got my fucking flashlight has been on this entire time.
Nice. It was your pockets nice and bright. The little lint particles, and they're like, wow, it's daytime.
The fuck? What is your shout out?
I shout out one guy, right? Because I
Honestly,
talked about a bunch of people in this episode.
You can.
I'll-
That's funny. Look, it's on my fucking.
God, that's
Explore page.
fucking weird.
No, and it's a fucking Japanese guy that reposted it. No. Anyway,
There you go. There's no rules to it. Anyway, I'd like to shout out all the people that I did shout out in this episode. So I'd be at Artist Raw with 2 A's. You haven't shouted him out, right?
Not yet. No.
Okay. You shouted Mick out, right?
Yeah. Well, are you talking about verbally?
No. I mean,
Or,
like
like, in
put
an
his
episode? No.
at the. Okay, so Roy Mick, Boki, you talked about him.
Yeah.
Okay. And then. Oh yeah. Hakao Suka works. I just want to say Hakoska, but and then these ads will be on the screen, right, or somewhere.
I'm gonna put him somewhere.
Okay, cool. And then Edwarson, 26.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I'm gonna shout his out just because I was a really
That
big
is
fan of this.
dizzying when you first see it.
Yeah. No, I'm a really big fan of this. So OP.8OS.
80S.
It's 0S? That looks like an O.
Oh, because
Ooh.
because normally it's op 80.
Oh, okay.
Like his if you like that's it should be a 0, but he
Okay.
stylized it like an O. I think
Okay.
I'm not him.
So
I am him. I'm
OP.
everyone. I'm him.
We're all each other. OP.8080. Oh my god, I'm gonna kill you. 80s. OP.80s. And he just
That's O as in the letter zero.
posted a render, that says 6 days ago, that is on the body of a Crown Athlete, but it's a R35 GTR front and rear end. It's awesome, so go check that out. But yeah, I think I'm glad we didn't burn the studio down without Liam here. It was kind of a 50-50.
But he's just in the silo.
Well,
so it's really like we can yell. And
but like me being in charge of this could have gone
worse.
You know, yeah, it could have gone.
I think it was just me bumping stuff and shifting all the time. That really like
putting the fucking glass
the
down,
production
like,
quality. Like tanked the production quality of this thing. I'm sorry for like devaluing your show.
No, that's all right. No devaluing going on here. Don't worry. But
high value.
Yeah, guys. Thanks for listening, watching. Hopefully,
I hope you're watching.
I need to do what Liam would do and plug the merch. Substance merch is on his website in his shop right now. If you like the show, if you enjoy the show, buy some so we can get that third mic so we can get other people on here. I was about to say follow us on Spotify. Yeah, follow us on Spotify. That's a thing. Yeah. Can you tell that Liam usually does this part?
Oh, you didn't mention Spotify yet.
Huh?
You didn't mention Spotify.
Shut your ass up. Yeah, so follow us on Spotify. Review us on Spotify, Yelp. Apple Music, Yelp, Google reviews.
Maybe come out to the tin shed in the silo.
And shameless self-plug, but check out my newly renovated Instagram, @SubstanceMatt. And we appreciate you guys. We've had a good time, and I suppose we will see you next week.
Stay substantial.
Love you. Bye.
Hey, we did it.
Stay substantial. Dude.
That was good. I don't know why you guys don't say that.
That was awesome, man.
It was fucking good.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, dude, my toes are fucking gone. Frost bitten. They need amputation.
Dude. That was great,
That was great. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Ideas developed. I got to talk to you about some shit, but I got to take a piss first.
That's cool. Do your thing. Honestly, so be honest with me. Did I seem spacey at all? Like outwardly spacey?
I mean, like, it was an understandable, like, oh, I forgot my train of thought.
Okay, all right, cool. Because I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. The first 50% of that, like, I was, like, watching you talk, and I was understanding, but I was like,
I was doing that for
what were we just talking about? Like, I have no idea.
The thing is, I felt my, like, confidence go after the video cut out. Because I wasn't looking at myself.
Yeah.
And I felt much more natural.
Well, fuck yeah. That's great.
I'm glad.
I need to go get Liam, because this thing, it's probably watching us, like, having this conversation right now, because I have no way to stop it, so...